Spirit and Soul, where Atlanta's service industry unpacks raw and provocative truths, share hilarious commentary about their unique industry experiences.
That's the true story.
Welcome to Spirit and Soul Podcast, a place where we share anecdotes, lessons, recipes, and the personalities of those in the service industry here in Atlanta. We all love a great cocktail, but the industry is full of much more than that. We got soul too, and that's why you love us so much. I'm your host, Courtney, and today's special guest is Midtown Jay.
Hey guys, how you doing?
Welcome. So I tend to look at my notes often, so never mind me.
It's all good.
Midtown Jay is a staple bartender in the Midtown district in Atlanta, specifically Crescent Avenue. And please correct me where I'm wrong. This is just my assumption. So I'm just gonna say all this, and you'll be like, actually, Courtney, feel free to chime in. Specifically Crescent Avenue, more specifically 10 Lizzie's. So 10 Lizzie's is a popular franchise cantina-style neighborhood vibe establishment. And I just remember when I first started in the industry, I used to work at Hudson Grill Midtown. And this was back in like 2010 through like 2014. Mm-hmm. And I would get off of work and I would go to Crescent Avenue at least once a week and go to 10 Lizzie's. And you didn't know me back then, but I remember seeing your face. And I didn't know your name back then either. But you have a very distinct, like, unique look. So I remember your face. Mm-hmm. Honestly, not until recently did we get more acquainted. And honestly, not even. I feel like we'll get more acquainted after, like, during this podcast, actually.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I didn't know you back then. So we're going to go ahead and get acquainted. And yeah, actually, so I call him Midtown Jay because that's who I know him as. But do you not disclose your real name? Like, is that intentional? Or, like, what should I call you?
Honestly, I don't. And, I mean, it's not, any reason I don't have warrants or anything like that. But it's just, I just don't like my first name.
Oh, really?
It's just not becoming to me.
Really?
That's why it's actually when my son was born, his mother actually wanted to make him a junior, but and she was, we split the baby, and so my son's middle name is my first name, which I'm not going to say.
Okay.
You can see it if you want to see it somewhere. Okay. Somewhere like Rellies Hospitality, he always tries to throw my real name in there every now and again because he's like, I don't want egos in the competition, so our personalities in the competition. So yeah.
Okay. So we just need to call you Midtown Jay, period.
Midtown Jay. It works for me.
Okay.
It started out as just Jay, and then one of my good friends, Coco Jones.
You name dropping. I know who she is.
Yeah. She one day she came to me and she was like, you are everywhere in Midtown. Like, this is probably like 2014, 2013, somewhere around there. She was like, you're everywhere in Midtown. Like, people should just call you Midtown Jay. I was like, as long as they tipping, you can call me Beelzebub. Whatever.
Okay.
So she was like, you know what? I'm going to create a Facebook page for you, and I'm going to help you get this on the road. I'm like, all right, whatever, let's do it. And then my friend Alberto made me this shirt.
I know Alberto.
Yeah, and then it just went from there.
Wait, until that was a question I had, which we're here now, so I'll go ahead and ask it. But so Midtown Jay is a brand.
Yeah.
Okay, and so what is that brand? Is it really just your personality?
I think it is just my personality. I really don't push it, so to speak, as a brand. Mm-hmm. But like anytime a T-shirt is made or a business card is made or a flyer is made, it's never me saying, hey, put Midtown Jay on it. It just, I guess, sounds better.
Okay.
You know, because the name of my bartending company is actually On the Rocks Bartending.
Okay.
So, you know, if I was going to brand something.
I didn't know either. So.
Yeah. So, and I kind of hated that Midtown Jay kind of overshadows On the Rocks. But when you book On the Rocks, you're booking Midtown Jay. You know.
Okay.
But like I said, any T-shirts or merch or any of that I've had, it's been other people that create those things that come to me and be like, hey, take this.
Oh, wow. So it's not anything that you've done on your own. It's just like the people, that you don't have to say anything. They know who you are.
I know. It's a gift and a curse. It's a gift and a curse.
What's the curse part?
Well, and it goes back to my real name.
Okay.
You know, I mean, in the bartending game, you know, you get in an environment where, you know, you may not be near the customer that needs your attention. Mm-hmm. So what's the first thing they do? Mm-hmm. If they know your name, they scream it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I would much rather you scream Jay and me not take that on so personally than you screaming what my real name is.
Gotcha.
So, you know.
Okay. I'm following.
Yeah, so that's kind of how it rolls.
Okay. How long have you been in the industry?
I have been in the industry since 2010.
Okay.
Actually, 10 Lizzie's was my first job in the industry.
Okay.
And I started there as a busser.
Okay.
And people that tell this story, I mean, it actually happened, but I was a busser, you know, running around taking dirty dishes off of tables and, you know, wiping down tables and everything. And I mean, I've always had long hair. And I had cornrows. And I had about 30 different braids going to the back.
Would you ever wear a cap sometimes?
Yeah, sometimes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I feel like I remember seeing that.
Yeah, I did. But what I did was, I don't know, I used to be so hood. I'm just not that person anymore. I would take dollar bills.
Okay.
And cut them in half and accordion them down to, like, you know, the accordion. And then I would tie a rubber band in the middle of it and make it and fan it out like a bow.
Right. Okay.
And then I would attach one to the end of
I am done.
I would attach one to the end of every braid. So when I'm doing this, there's like $30 just, you know, and if you're standing near me and you get hit with my hair, they're like, what in the...
Who is this man with the dollar bills? And you wonder why people are like, Midtown Jay, hello.
But I mean, it's just crazy stuff that I do. But, you know, but that led to the owner of 10 Lizzie's at the time, Andy Mikowski, coming to me, who he used to just ride me. But he came to me and he was like, you have way too much personality to be out here bussing tables. Like, how do you feel about being a bar back? And I was like, well, what do they have to do? And, you know, I'm really, you know, a lot of people already know this about, but I'm really, really, really money driven. Like, you know what I'm saying? Because, you know, back in the day, I always wanted fresh gear or whatever, but then that translated once I had kids to, I never wanted to have to tell my kids no because I could not do it.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm very money driven. So my second question when I said, is it harder than bussing tables was, do I make more money being a bar back?
Just sign me up.
You know, and he was like, yeah. I was like, well, let's do it. So then I became a bar back and I did that for like 6 months and I was actually Alberto's bar back.
So you guys used to work together at 10 Lizzie's.
Yeah.
That's where you guys met. Okay.
And I was Alberto's bar back, and like after about 6 months of bar back, and he was like, you ever thought about bartending? And I was like, no. He was like, have you ever made a drink? I was like, a Jack and Coke at home.
Yeah.
And he was like, let me talk to them and see if I can get you on. And it was very hard to get on as a bartender at 10 Lizzie's at that time because, you know, it was party. It was pretty thin little white girls, you know.
Yeah.
You know, you had to be established. But, you know, with the help of a couple friends, Danny, Alberto, you know what I'm saying, and Vic, and teaching me stuff. When the owner finally gave in and said, I'll give him a mock.
Okay. You kind of knew what you were doing because you were kind of already learning.
Yeah, they was teaching me under the table or whatever. So, and I killed it. And I became a bartender at Tin Lizzie's, and I just started it.
That's crazy. And for our listeners, I get that often, how do I get into bartending? That really is, you just work your way up. You stay loyal to an establishment for a while, prove yourself, and work your way up. That's really how it goes.
I mean, because you get to learn everything that way. You know what I'm saying? Not just how to make a drink, but how the bar is supposed to be clean, how the setup is supposed to go. When do you need ice? When do you need to refill your juices? When do you need to ask for help? You know what I'm saying? Because I was the person that was helping, so I know when to ask for help.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, that is the best way,
Yep. Interesting. Okay. Yeah. Where else do you work? You mentioned on the rocks, and then I've heard not flip flops, but what's the other place?
Tiki Tango.
Tiki Tango.
Yes, I did work there. But Tiki Tango is closed now.
Okay.
As we all know, they're about to demolish that block. But
I did not know that. Can you expound?
Oh yeah. Well, where Tiki Tango is located, there's a Google headquarters built right next door to it, where the Epicurean Hotel is, and the office bar, and they have a rooftop pool, everything over there. But essentially, the developer that built that had his sight set on the Tiki Tango, where Tiki Tango is, Pasta di Punchinella, all those apartments and parking lots and all that. He bought all that. So he's going to build a twin tower right next to it.
They're killing me with these towers.
Well, it's just like New York. You can't build out anymore. You got to build up.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So... yeah, so that's what Tiki Tango is going to be come now. But I think they're building a new Tiki Tango somewhere now. But that'll be...
And so for the listeners, a lot of what we're talking about is the bars that are on Crescent Avenue. So to give you an understanding of what Crescent Avenue is, it's just it's a district or a strip in Midtown that's just filled with restaurants, clubs, bars. So it's just really popular. And it has been for a very, very long time. And so for Tin Lizzie's to be there still is already... And Tin Lizzie's has had a what do you call it? A beautification? What do you call it? A facelift? It did.
Well, yeah, that became our flagship stores. Our flagship stores. So we were looking to see if you notice, all other locations are called Tin Lizzie's Cantina, but my location is actually called Tin Lizzie's Taco Americana.
Okay.
So it has more of a beachy feel.
Okay.
Like a San Diego type of beach. We have surfboards on the wall and, different types of trinkets around that give you the beachy feel, much less than a cantina with a wood bar, and give me a shot.
Yeah, like the one off of Memorial is more like that.
Right, right. Well, actually, all the other ones are like that. Maybe not the Mall of Georgia so as much.
Okay.
But all the other ones are, have the wood bar feel, the wood post,
What's your clientele like at Tin Lizzie's, if you had to?
I would say old Tin Lizzie's was party, and probably other locations are like that still as well, but like you said, the beautification of our newest location, is kind of more like... But then we still get the party people that know the other Tin Lizzie's, and they come in and they're like, wait a minute, I can't yell and curse and walk around the tables and knock stuff over without everybody looking at me? It's like, I'm sorry,
I'll be honest, I love Tin Lizzie's for the specials.
Yeah?
The food's good, the drinks are great, but the specials is what seals the deal for me, because I'm always looking for a happy hour.
Yeah. A happy hour isn't as big as it was, and the deals aren't as big as they were, but I mean, we still give the good value.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, when I first started at Tin Lizzie's, the motto was $4 margaritas and $3 tacos. Push them out the door.
Don't I remember it?
So, and I mean, it's changed a little bit, but with the growing of any company, any restaurant, there's going to be some changes. Yeah, exactly. That too. So, but yeah, I mean, Tin Lizzie's was that vibe, If you were just getting off of work, come in, hang out till 8 o'clock, or if you were about to go to work, you stop in before you went to work, you know what I'm saying? It was just a vibe. And then late night was crazy because, we had Club Opera, which I used to work at as well, across the street.
Is it still there?
It is still there. It cannot be torn down because it's a national monument. On the front side, on the
a national
Peachtree Center side. I mean the Peachtree Street side. is the National Women's Center.
Okay.
So and it's a landmark.
Okay.
So it can't be torn down.
Okay.
So it can be bought and sold.
Okay.
But
it's still called Opera.
No, now it's called Domain.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and that change happened maybe a year or two before COVID. I can't remember the exact dates, but I worked for them for a little bit too, before moving on to do some other things around the area. So
cool.
Yeah.
So what's kept you in Midtown so long, specifically Tin Lizzie's? Like what, you have On the Rocks, so we should definitely talk about that. But what's kept you at Tin Lizzie's for so long?
Tin Lizzie's so long? Just the comfortability.
Okay.
I'm actually, there's me and I can't say, I don't want to call him a cook, but I think he's a kitchen manager. The kitchen manager at Buckhead and myself are the longest tenured employees at Tin Lizzie's other than the owners.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I've been there 12 and a half years. I think he's been there like maybe 6 months before me.
Okay.
So, I mean, just the comfortability. Like, I can walk in, I know everything that's going on. I know how it's supposed to go. I know what we're supposed to be doing. So, to do that a few days after week and then adding on other stuff, it's just like waking up in the morning to take a shower for me to go to Tin Lizzie's. So, I can do that without thinking about it.
Yeah.
So that's what's kept me there so long. And then, I mean, there's a great ownership in place. You know what I'm saying? Even though...
That's good to hear.
Even though stores go through different GMs, I've always connected with the GMs. There's never been a GM that I work for be like, I can't wait till this guy gets out of here.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so, and then with me being a long tenured employee there, when those new GMs do come, they be like, hey, they tell me that I need to talk to you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? About things that go on here. So, you got me? And I'm like, I got you.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's dope. That's really dope.
It's comfortable, I mean, and then, talking about guidance and stuff, you made the comment earlier about working your way up in the industry. I went to a panel of mixologists years and years ago. Like, I think Caleb Cribb and Tiffany Berry and Kenyatta, they were all on this panel. And they asked each one of them, what is the best advice that you can give a new up-and-coming bartender? And I believe it was Tiffany that said...
No, Tiffany. Okay, yeah.
Do not move around so much. Stay where you are and come up through there. And because, for one, people will always know where to find you. And... you could just build yourself up off, especially if there's a good structure in place. You know what I'm saying? You could build yourself up off of that, and you could take that other places if you decide to go other places. So that just always stuck with me.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? I've had a ton of offers to leave Tin Lizzie's. I've had a ton of bar manager offers thrown at me, but Tin Lizzie's just hold a special place.
Yeah,
so
that's interesting. So I was kind of like that with Hudson Grill. So I was at Hudson Grill from 2010 to like 2017. I just stayed there. And I would work other jobs. I would just do the weekend sometimes. Sometimes I was full-time. Worked it through college. Worked it through corporate. Quit all my jobs. I was like, I'm traveling the world. Still work there. They're flexible with my schedule. So it just worked. For us, like, and if I was to call them right now and say, hey, can I come back? They would say yes. They would just say, yeah. Why not? Huh?
They might need you.
You don't gotta whisper that. Cool. Okay. Well, I was gonna use this segment to talk about the cocktail that we're drinking, which, guys, by the way, last week, I just want to go ahead and let the listeners know. Last week, there was a Rellies Hospitality Cocktail Competition, Mixology of the Year Award ceremony. Well, it's for the Mixology of the Year Award that happens every year with Rellies Hospitality, but they do a cocktail competition where they're like featuring bartenders or having bartenders compete in neighborhoods for like the best cocktail. And then each neighborhood competes in this bigger competition at the end of the year, and that particular bartender, mixologist, they win the Mixologist of the Year. And so Midtown Jay won for Midtown. Congratulations.
Thank you.
It was really cool. Midtown Jay just won the Rellies Hospitality Cocktail Competition. feel?
I feel amazing. I feel like that the crowd really loved it. The judges really liked the drink. I'm just really tired of being considered the Kim Kardashian of bartending just because people know me. But I can do this, you know what I'm saying? But I just choose to let other people have it. So I had to throw my hat back in the ring to let y'all know that.
And the cocktail that he won, I was hoping to taste today. We're not going to taste it. But we did. This was what Jack Daniel's Triple Mash was the spirit that they had to incorporate in their cocktails. So I kind of revamped or did one of Spirit and Soul's cocktails basically with it
Which
today.
Which is delicious.
Right. It's my infamous Time is of the Essence cocktail. It's just a little lemon, thyme, ginger beer, and bourbon, really. But it goes over really well. Yes. Everyone usually enjoys it. But enough about that. I want to know about this winning cocktail. Can you share what's the name of the cocktail? What was the inspiration? I just want to know more about the cocktail.
Okay. So
I'm thirsty. I'm thirsty to know.
I hope everybody can take the recipe, go make it, enjoy it at home, or make it at work. Change the name, do whatever bartenders do to make it their own. But the name of the cocktail is the ATL, and the T is spelled TEA, like tea. Mm-hmm. So before I go into the recipe, the inspiration that I got from the cocktail to make the cocktail was I wanted to represent the ATL. And this is kind of like the process that I go through whenever I'm doing any menu or creating any new cocktail for anyone or for an event or whatever. I think about, like I said, it was the ATL. I fixate on that thing. Mm-hmm, so I'm like, what are things about the ATL that people love? And then I kind of broadened that a little bit. I was like, okay, Georgia. What are things about Georgia? And then I'll start thinking about birds, state birds, fruit, nut, all this, so.
Wow. I don't ever go that deep.
it's a long learned process. Uh-huh. But so the first idea that I had is I wanted to work with peaches. Okay. Because everybody Georgia peach.
Exactly.
So after I came up fixated on peaches, I was going to make my syrup from peaches. I was like, okay, my modifiers. What can I do to my modifiers? And I'm like, I really love, tea. I was like, man, I'm going to go find a locally sourced Georgia tea company and just find one of their great teas. And I was like, but yeah, you can't add tea to a cocktail really like that. You kind of got to infuse it. And I didn't want to infuse the spirit because I didn't want to change the spirit. Mm-hmm. They took 4 years to make that. Okay. Why would I ruin it by infusing it? Mm-hmm. I could put modifiers with it, but I don't want to disrupt the spirit. So I came up with the idea hey, I really love elderflower liqueur.
I do too.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
You know what I'm saying? So I went to the liquor store and started looking through different liqueurs just in case I didn't want to use elderflower. So then I was like, I heard about this process from one of my friends a while ago about infusing spirits with tea bags instead of...
You're putting me on to something here.
Yeah. So I was like, wait a minute. If I get the elderflower liqueur and I infuse it with the tea bags, there's my tea to represent the sweet tea of Georgia. Because everybody could... how many times you've been to Chick-fil-A and not ordered sweet tea? It's the bomb.
I get the lemonade.
With that too. You know what I'm saying? So that's going to play into it too. Mm-hmm. So I was like, okay, so that's where the sweet tea came in. That's where the tea infusion came in. So then I was like, what kind of tea should I use? And there wasn't really a state tea that I could find. And I was already using peaches. Okay. So I was like, I don't want to get a peach tea. You know what I'm saying? So
everybody can do a peach. Anybody can do it.
Right. So I was like, I got these tea bags from the company, and I was like, let me try these. And it was a lemon, ginger, and Manuka honey tea. Okay. And I was like, well, let's see how it really changes the elderflower taste. And it was just bold. I was just blown away by it.
Really?
So I was like, yep, I'm going to use that. So as I'm making my first batch of peach demerara, um, I tasted it and I was like, it's good, but then I remembered the farm, Pearson's Farms, where I got the peaches from. I saw this pecan extract.
Okay.
And I was like, everybody in Georgia eats pecan pie. Like it's like one step away from a bean pie. It's like,
I don't, but I will after today.
So I'm just like, what if I put a little bit of peach extract in this, a pecan extract in this peach syrup.
And it turned it out.
Just the smell from it was just like crazy. So, yeah. So I had my tea, I had my peaches, I had my pecans, I had my Jack, which I use. Lemons are everywhere.
Yeah.
You put them in sweet tea. So,
yep.
Went with that. And I'm going to tell you, the first 6 variations, I literally spit out.
Really? So you really worked hard on this stuff. This was no joke.
I literally spit it out.
Because if I spit something out, I'm like, oh, no, I don't keep working at it.
Because it was either too sweet or, you know what I'm saying, my balance was off or whatever. And I literally was spinning my wheels. And I've told this story a couple times, so when people hear me say the phrase spinning my wheels, that is exactly what I was doing. I was in my kitchen so I didn't tell you this. This is T-minus 6 hours to the competition.
Oh, wow. That's what he said. He likes to work under pressure. So we're going to learn a little bit more about this cocktail and some other things. We're going to take a quick break. Okay.
Cool.
So we are back, and Midtown Jay, I keep saying, I'm cutting
to
no,
Jay is fine.
Is that
Jay
cool?
Is fine.
Okay.
Yes.
Jay was telling us about this cocktail, but I'm still waiting on the name of the cocktail. What is the name of the cocktail?
The ATL.
The ATL. Oh, wait,
yeah.
We did say that. Okay, maybe it's alcohol. The ATL. Got it. Okay, let's fast forward a bit to the cocktail competition. One, I just remember when you won, everybody was extremely happy. Like, I think everybody was going to be happy no matter, but I don't know. Something about your win, it just felt like everybody was rooting for you. So that was really cool to see. And then at the end, I remember coming up to you and we had this little conversation and exchange of words. And honestly, I was baiting you for an interview because we had already talked about us having this conversation on the podcast. And I was like, so how do you feel? And you were like, I feel amazing. And I quote, this is literally what he said. You said, I'm tired of being considered the Kim Kardashian of bartending because people know who I am, but I can do this. I just choose to let other people have it. And I want to unpack that. Like, okay. What did you mean by, let's start here. What do you mean by the Kim Kardashian of bartending?
Okay. So, yeah, do a little backstory first. Okay. So you have mixology, and then you have bartending.
Yes.
Basically.
Yes.
So, how do I say this? I did a couple of competitions years ago, and I only lost to 2 people.
Okay.
Alberto Laris and Mike Mixologist Jones.
Okay.
And, after that competition, I was just like, you know what? I love making great drinks. Mm-hmm. But like I said before, I'm money driven. Mm-hmm. Very, very money driven. Mm-hmm. So I had to make a choice. Am I going to what we call in the industry gunsling? Mm-hmm. And that's like what I do at Tin Lizzie's. And the time that it would take me to make you one old fashioned, from scratch. I'm not talking about a batch. I'm talking about every ingredient, stir 30 turns. You know what I'm saying? I can make you 20 margaritas at Tin Lizzie's in that same time. Mm-hmm, you know what I'm saying? So
I'm following you. I'm right with you.
So if I'm selling you this $18 old fashioned, you may be a great tipper and give me 5. You may be great and give me 10. But out of those 20 margaritas that I made, even if I just get 2, kill the game. Mm-hmm. I'm making more money. So I kind of made a decision like, hey, I still did craft one day a week at Highland. But I was just like, hey, I'm just going to concentrate on gunslinging. I'm going to get nightclub jobs and, stay at 10 Lizzie's and just, do it. So, fast forward a little bit. Rellies,
Terrell.
Terrell Patterson. He had the Mixologist of the Year competition last year, the Moya competition last year, but that also had a Chef of the Year award, and it also had That's My Bartender award.
Oh, yeah.
So,
he did.
Yeah. So, if anybody remembers, I won that. Hands down. So, because it's basically a popularity competition. It's like, that's my bartender.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, I won that. I was very excited for the win. Like, I'm the most humble guy you would ever meet. Like, I don't think that I'm better than nobody. You know what I'm saying? Like, I would rap with a first day bartender as long as I would rap with a 20-year veteran. But after I won that, it was a lot of whispers that got back to me. I mean, nobody said it to my face. You know what I'm saying? But it was a lot of missions like, man, he's just famous for being famous because he work everywhere. You know what I'm saying? He's always cracking jokes and, but...
To me, that's part of bartending. Like, being that personality, like, that is half the job. It's not just about craft, to me. Like, that's just to me. That's why when you said that to me that night, I was like, I relate to that 100% because that's also the same path that I chose.
Yeah.
And I chose it. I wasn't like, oh, no, you're forced to. No, I chose that path.
Right.
Why make a 7-step cocktail when I can make a 3 to 4-step cocktail and make more money? Like, I'm also very money driven. So I was like, I'm about to make this fast cash and y'all can have that. Like,
right.
Because I don't care about that kind of stuff. And I guess it just wasn't my passion either, Right. I feel like nowadays, a little bit more now it is, But back then, it just really wasn't. So when you said that, I was like, no wonder you're the people's bartender. Look, I feel this. Go on.
Right. So, I mean, it stuck in my craw a little bit, that, some people in higher mixology positions thought about me that way, you know what I'm saying? But just because I didn't put the time and effort into mixology that I did into gunslinging. So Terrell came to me a couple of months after that and was like, so, we're about to do the lineup for next year. Do you want to compete? And I was like, nah, man, I'm done with that, like, for real. And he was like, oh, man, come on. And I started thinking in my head, I was like, you know what? This will be the perfect opportunity for me to show them that I'm not just a pretty face.
First of all, it's the wing. I'm done.
I'm just not, you know what I'm saying, an octopus behind the bar. And that's what I mean. I got 8 hands making, you know what I'm saying? Like, I can do this. I just choose not to. But I feel kind of like I need to show everybody that I can still do this and be great at it. You know what I'm saying? So that was just my motivation. Like,
but for your peers, for our peers, not necessarily for the guests.
Oh no,
like,
not for guests, because I believe any guest that comes up to me and says, "Make me something," they respect me enough.
As long as it's good,
right?
As long as it's good, it's good quality.
But it was for my peers and my mentors. You know what I'm saying? Like, to show my peers, hey, I can still do this, and to show my mentors, hey, I was listening. I heard everything you said. I just went for the bread.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, that was just, I feel vindicated.
Yeah, you answered
But there's another one to go, so.
Yeah.
But the first leg.
So when is the, it's in December,
January.
Oh, it's in January.
In January.
So he's going to compete again in January with the other neighborhoods. So you got Buckhead, you got Cabbagetown, you got West Midtown, you got... What I don't know, all of
Roswell.
All of them are going to compete. Each of them have a bartender that's won their region, and they're going to compete, and then we'll learn who's really the best. I mean, it's really based on that cocktail. It's not to say this is the best bartender. Right. It's just it's the cocktail. You know?
But you're going to bring your best to the game, though.
You are.
So.
So are you going to do the same cocktail? Or are you going to do something different?
No. It's going to be a completely different spirit. I believe.
Okay.
Excuse me. A completely different spirit, and it has to be another original cocktail. But the thing about this one is, you have to actually come with two.
Okay.
Because whoever wins Atlanta has to go against Nashville and Miami for the Southeast.
Yeah.
So.
And Nashville and Miami are new additions. One day we will have Terrell on the podcast to kind of get more details about this competition that's now like nationwide, by the way. He's really doing something amazing. So he'll be on the podcast eventually when he makes time for us. I guess he's so busy. Okay. That goes into my next question, which we're kind of already talking about, but the difference between a mixologist and a bartender. Is there a difference between the two, and what are those differences to you? So this is what I think, and you kind of already said some of this. But when I first started in this line of work, I was really inexperienced with everything, and the direction, the type of establishments that I chose, and the route that I chose were high-volume sports bars. Like I said, Hudson Grill. And I spent some time in fine dining and lounges in some other places, but I just found, sports bars to just work for me. I was comfortable. Like you said earlier, I was really comfortable. And it was more about making fast cash versus crafting elaborate 7-step cocktails. Like, why do that when you can just make 3 to 4-step cocktails and make the same amount of money? So I realized that I was also really great with people. And I'm like, well, as long as I'm great with people and I can still secure a good tip, then this is for me. So my mentality about being a bartender was a little different. But now that I wrote this before I was having this conversation with you, but it's actually not too different than what you're saying. But not until a couple years ago did I even consider myself more than just a bartender and a mixologist. And so to me, a mixologist is one who makes their own bitters, their own syrups. They're chucking away at ice, for their cocktails. They're flaming up ingredients, adding smokiness, and, doing flares and tricks and all that stuff. And they're basically putting on this show. But also very educated, like you talked about earlier, like doing what it takes to do the research to figure it out, like what's going to work with this, how can I manipulate this, what can I incorporate to make this taste this way. So doing that extra legwork. And to me, mixologists are something more of connoisseurs. And so I feel like at this point of my career, I've become more of a connoisseur than just a person who likes to make money. And so I guess my question is, or something I want to make a point to say is, there's a spectrum. And you got mixologists and you got bartender, but there's still a spectrum, and there's like clear places on that spectrum that are like precise and different. And so my question are, what are some key things that make the ends of the spectrum so different, and what's been your journey on the spectrum? But you kind of answered that already about your journey on the spectrum. But I guess, like, what do you consider to be a mixologist, and what do you consider to be a bartender, and what are like clear identifiers to, I guess, guests, like our guests we're serving, like, oh, that's mixologist, oh, I can go here for that. Because some people are confused. They show up to Tin Lizzy's and they're, or I'm not going to say Tin Lizzy's. They'll show up to a dive bar. Let's give you that. They'll show up to a dive bar expecting them, get a martini. And it's like, baby, no, not here.
Right.
Not here. This is the wrong place. You just need something basic. Give me a Jack and Coke. So, like, what are some key identifiers to our guests to understand, like, okay, this is a mixologist. This is a bartender. These are different. What are your viewpoints on that?
What do you mean besides a vest? No, I'm just kidding.
But no, that part too. The vest and the apron, like.
Right. Well, I mean, to me, if you go to a craft bar and you go to see a mixologist, first of all, you got to know you're in a craft bar. Like you said, if you walk into a dive bar, I'm not going into 11th Street asking for an old fashioned. You know what I'm saying? But, the general public may not know that. They just know that they want an old-fashioned. There's a bar. They should have everything that they need. But, man, it's kind of hard to explain. I know it when I see it, but it's just like a mixologist, as he's making the cocktail for you, he can explain why these ingredients go together, why this is a balanced cocktail. You know what I'm saying? The story behind the cocktail. One of the reasons why I kind of shun myself away from mixology is because I think I have a terrible palate. You know what I'm saying? Just from years of just eating bad stuff. And,
Okay.
I used to drive trucks, so eating truck stop food and drinking gallons of coffee a day, it just ruins it. But the further I get away from that, I feel like my palate is returning. I'm able to taste subtleties and things like that, which is not things that a normal guest would probably be able to taste unless a mixologist is walking them through the experience of the cocktail.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I tell you, a person knows a good old-fashioned from a bad old-fashioned, but they don't know why it's bad.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
They didn't stir it enough.
Right. They didn't stir it
add
enough. Or
they didn't put simple syrup in it at all, or
Right.
sugar, or whatever.
Or they tried to make it with a sugar cube, and it didn't fully dilute. You know what I'm saying? Or something like that. So mixologists can walk you through that. You know what I'm saying? As a guest, and, you know what I'm saying, talk to you about that. To whereas, I'm not saying a bartender can't.
Yeah.
But a bartender's just, here's your Jack and Coke.
Yep.
Here's your 22-ounce Bud Light. You know, yeah, that guy's drunk. Ha, 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 ha. What can I get you?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Fast. To me,
it's
about
fast.
a bartender about being fast, and I feel like if you're going to sit at a bar and you're dealing with a mixologist, you need to know it's going to take time.
Right.
You can't be like, I ordered my drink. Where is it? To me, that you got to cut that out. Like, if you're going to a mixologist, that's work. You're there to watch them.
Yes.
You really are. They are. You've mentioned
It's
this
like
before.
a flair bartender without throwing bottles in it.
Yeah, you're there to watch and observe them work. So just know that, and good things take time.
They do. And to you servers out there, stop bringing in 30 old fashions on one ticket.
There you go. Tell them. What else you got to tell them?
No, the customer can have whatever they want. I just said, break it up a little bit.
Okay, we're going to transition into a segment about bar etiquette. So we've talked about your background, Tin Lizzie's, the competition. I want to talk to the people at this point. This is a conversation that we want to have with the listeners about how to act and behave at a bar.
This is where the podcast goes left.
Oh gosh, is it? Because I'm like, who's teaching? We all, as bartenders, you hear it a lot. Like, people come outside, they don't know how to act. Who taught y'all? Nobody. That's the thing. Who's teaching people how to act at a bar? Nobody's teaching them. You turn 21 and you just go out there and you learn as you go. And that's what's going on. And I just feel like, where are they going to find this information? Where else? And that was probably the biggest thing that I started writing my book about. When I started developing that book, it was like, somebody has to tell these people, because nobody knows. Nobody knows. They're just showing up and learning mistakes as they go. Now, there's consequences in place. You can get DUI, you can, in relationships, you can get in fights. Okay, so we know what happens consequence-wise, but are there any preventive measures or just educational things for people to really learn this? And you can chime in. What else is there, for real? This is me being completely honest.
Well, I mean, every bartender wants to talk about this.
Exactly.
And be real about it. But nobody wants to be the first because they don't want to be ostracized because you're going to have two different people of the general public view this everybody's going to view this two different ways. Either they're going to be like, oh my God, I do that. I'm going to stop. Oh my, I didn't know that was bad. Or you're going to have the one that's like, fuck them. You know what I'm saying? I'm spending my money. I do what the fuck I want to do. You know what I'm saying? So...
But you're so right.
Nobody, no bartender or nobody in the industry wants to be the first person to put that book out, which you're courageous if you're going to write a book about
bold.
this.
I don't care.
Nobody wants to be the first because they don't want to be ostracized.
Yeah.
And
then your tip relies on it. You can't really say anything because you're being paid. No matter what. That 213, that's like we mentioned earlier episodes of this podcast, that don't matter. You're working for that tip. So you can't be like, excuse me, sir, why are you acting like that? Like, you just got to suck it up, and be like, I'm so sorry. Let's try again. And they can't say anything, but we're going to talk about it here today, now.
I think one of the biggest things that are looked over when it comes to that situation is, I was talking to one of my homeboys the other day, JR, and he was telling me that the reason that he got out of the industry is because somebody broke it down to him, because he was a server at the time. And he was like, you're a server. So just break that down. It's servitude. And he was like, what? And he was like, this is it for me. Servitude.
Who told him that? A guest?
Yeah, a guest.
Okay. Well,
and he was like, you know what? I cannot believe that you're the only person that thinks this way. So if that's the case, I'm out.
Yeah.
And he went corporate. You know what I'm saying? So some people do believe that, like, they feel like just because they're doing it in maybe a nicer way than they would yell at a servant, is that it's okay.
Yeah.
But bartenders, servers, people in the industry, they're people too. They have bad days just like you. And I always like to use this as an example. You would not want me to come to AT&T where you work at while you're trying to close a deal on a new phone that you're going to make $5 commission off of selling. And
why you gotta do it like that?
No, but I'm just saying, like, you're helping someone and I come up to you like, hey, like, you see me with someone, hey, what? I just wanted to say, what's up, Midtown Jay? It's like, like, you know what I'm saying? But, you know, if they think of you as, hey, he has to be nice to me. I mean, just think about how many people send their food back. You know what I'm saying? It's just gross. Or, you know what I'm saying? Send drinks back. It don't taste the way that I think it should taste. Or there's not enough liquor in this Long Island. I need 6 ounces instead of 2.5.
While we're on the topic of Long Island, before we move forward, we can come back to what we're talking about. But a controversy on this podcast is the opinions of these Long Islands. Everybody got something to say about Long Island. What's your opinion about Long Islands and the people that order them?
I'll be honest. I was that guy when I was younger drinking Long Islands because when you left the house, it was, we're not leaving the house to go have a meeting. We're going to leaving the house to get fucked up. You know what I'm saying? And Long Islands are going to get you there. And I will admit, like, the first place that I ever had on Long Island was Dugan's. And, you know, people have said in the industry, I don't know if it's true. I don't know anybody that's ever worked at Dugan's or anything.
I've heard of it and never gone.
They say that Dugan's doesn't have a recipe for their Long Islands. They just put a bunch of liquor in a glass and throw some sour and Coke on it and just serve it. So I just feel like in our community, because, I mean, you know, we drink a lot of Long Islands, you know what I'm saying? I feel like that people think of tasting a Long Island as not tasting a cocktail. Like, you don't want a Jack and Coke where there's not enough Coke to dilute the Jack a little bit. Like, I would just drink straight Jack.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But I feel like people drink a Long Island iced tea, and if they don't feel woozy off the first sip, oh, this is trash. I don't want this. I'm here to tell you people, legally, we cannot put any more liquor in that one drink.
Long Island should be illegal. Like, they should just be illegal. It's an illegal beverage. It's just as bad as, like, Four Loko or something. Like, it's horrible.
It is. But, I mean, I'm telling you, for the people, like you said, what do you think about the people that order Long Islands? You cannot put enough liquor in there for them. Like, you can do everything to compensate it. Put it in a short glass so you can keep the same amount of liquor, but then they're mad because it's not in a tall glass. And it's just like...
Some people pour liquor in the
straw. Yeah.
Just
I've
so
seen that done before. And it's usually triple sec, which is terrible, but Long Island's taste terrible. Or, well, they're not supposed to, but if the mass majority of people are getting the Long Island that they want, it tastes terrible. So, I mean... That's my opinion on Long Island.
Okay, let's get into the topic of tipping.
Okay.
Okay, so let's go ahead and declare the industry standard. You're laughing. Stop.
Nobody wants to be the first person to.
You're here.
I know, I'm here. I'm here for it.
But no, the questions that I have. They're set up to just for you to be honest, and you know it's not gonna make you look bad. It's just to get the truth across. Okay. So we're gonna have fun with them.
Okay.
Do we need to take a shot or something?
Oh, we can.
Okay. Let's take a shot real quick. That's a wrap for part 1 of this episode. But here's what you can expect next time on Spirit and Soul. We're going to take a big gulp and address some of these issues. Are we ready?
The juice is flowing. Look, you know how to run a podcast if you make me take a shot before we talk about tipping.